She never planned to be on that road. The trip was meant to be short and simple, a visit that should have ended before sunset. But life has a way of changing plans without warning. The bus she depended on never arrived. Phones had no signal. The town felt quiet in a way that pressed on her chest. Shops closed early. Lights dimmed one by one. The road stretched ahead like a long question with no answer. She stood near the edge of the road, holding a small bag. Her shoulders were tight. Her thoughts were louder. Then the wind. Every story she'd ever heard about strangers came back at once. Her heart told her to wait. Her mind told her there was no choice. Night was coming fast. A vehicle appeared in the distance. Dust rose behind it. The sound of tires on gravel grew closer. She felt her breath change slow. Then quick. Her hands felt cold. Even in the warm air, the truck slowed down. It was old and strong, marked by time and work. The man inside looked different from anyone. She knew his face showed years of sun and long days. His clothes were simple boots worn from miles of walking. A hat shadowed his eyes. Did not smile. He did not rush. He simply stopped. He asked if she needed help. His voice was calm, low, and steady. That calm scared her more than anger would have. She hesitated. The silence between them felt heavy. She thought of turning away, but the road was empty. The town was behind her. The sky was changing color. She nodded slowly. The decision felt like stepping into deep water. She climbed into the truck. The seat was firm. The smell of dust and leather filled the space. He started driving without a word. The engine hummed. The road stretched ahead. Her mind began to race. She watched his hands on the wheel, strong but careful. She counted each turn, each mile. Every second felt long. She told herself to stay alert, to remember exits, to watch signs. Her body was tense. She held her bag close, as if it could protect her. He drove steadily, never too fast, never too slow. Quiet felt loud. Her thoughts filled every space. She remembered warnings from childhood. Never trust strangers. Never accept rides. Always be careful. Those words echoed in her head. The truck passed open. Fields' fences ran beside the road. The land felt wide and lonely. The sun dropped lower. Shadows grew long. She wondered why he stopped. What made him help her? Fear tried to give answers. None of them were kind. She noticed small things. He slowed near curves. He watched the road closely. He gave space to animals crossing. These details confused her. They did not match her. Fear still. Her heart beat fast. Her body stayed ready. She prepared herself for any moment. The road went on. Time felt stretched. Her fear grew with every mile. Silence pressed harder. She thought of home, of safety, of places where she belonged. She wished she was there. The truck moved through fading light. Stars began to appear. The air cooled. She wanted to speak, but words felt trapped. She feared breaking the silence. He remained quiet. Barthed. Thoughts became heavy. What if this was a mistake? What if she trusted wrong? The road ahead was dark now. Lights from the truck cut through. Her breath was shallow. Shoulders ached from tension. She told herself to stay strong, to stay aware. The journey felt longer than it was. Fear makes time slow. She did not know it yet, but this ride would change something deep inside her. For now there was only the road, the quiet, and the weight of fear sitting between two strangers. Silence inside the truck felt heavier than the dark outside. Every mile added more weight to her chest. Her hands still gripped her bag tightly. Her eyes watched everything, every shadow of the trees, every curve of the road, every flicker of light from the headlights. She tried to read his expression. The man focused on the road. His eyes never left it. She wondered what he thought about her, if he noticed her fear, if he judged her for being alone. Her imagination filled with worst-case scenarios. Pictured the road ending badly, him stopping suddenly, something going wrong. She tightened her shoulders. Her stomach churned. She told herself to breathe slowly, carefully, but the tension would not leave. The quiet made her own thoughts louder. She replayed stories she had heard, stories that warned women to stay away from strangers, stories that made her heart race. She looked out the window. The world passed by slowly. Fields of dry grass, old fences, the occasional animal, lone crow flying against the fading light. Everything seemed distant and quiet. Her mind could not stop racing. She Tried to think logically, maybe he was kind, maybe he only wanted to help, but fear had its hold. Fear made her ready for the worst. She noticed how he drove, careful but firm hands steady on the wheel. Slowed on curves, avoided potholes. She realized he cared about safety, but she could not trust it yet. The road wound through hills. Now shadows grew long, the air grew cooler. Body shivered even in the warm clothes. Her thoughts went to home, to safety. Two people she trusted, two warmth, two light. The truck kept moving. The night grew deeper. The darkness felt like it was reaching inside. Hershey tried to make small observations: the way he adjusted his hat, the way he kept his posture straight, the way he occasionally glanced at the mirrors. Every detail added to her fear, but slowly it also confused her. Why was he so careful? Why? Was he not angry? Why did he not hurry? Her mind could not understand. Her heart wanted to. She did not want to feel fear, but it lingered. It settled in her chestine, her arms in her throat. She tried to think of excuses to speak, to break the silence, but words would not come. They stuck in her throat. She imagined speaking and being ignored. Where she imagined anger or violence, every possibility made her stomach twist. The truck continued. The engine hummed. The tires rolled on gravel. Every sound sounded louder. In the quiet, she tried to calm herself, counting breaths, counting the bumps on the road, trying to focus on something she could control. Her mind drifted to past experiences, times when she felt vulnerable, times when she wished someone would help, times when fear controlled her actions. She realized this was similar but different, because this time she had no choice, because this time she could not turn back. She noticed small kindnesses. He slowed for small animals crossing. He gave space to shadows on the road. He avoided sudden movements. These details confused her. Her fear told her danger. Her eyes told her safety. She tried to decide which one to trust. Her mind could not find the answer. The road stretched ahead. Trees lined the sides. Shadows moved with the truck. The night grew thicker. The moon rose faintly. She realized the truck felt steady even though fear made it feel unstable. She felt each bump like a warning, each sound like a signal. Her thoughts circled. Could she trust him? Could she let her guard down? She realized she could not yet, but she could watch, she could notice, she could seethe. Journey felt endless. Every mile made her heart pound. Every silent moment felt loud. She thought of running, of escaping, but the road offered no place to go, no safety in sight. Of screaming, of calling for help, but her voice felt small, lost in the dark. She tried to stay calm, to stay alert, to stay alive. The truck moved steadily. The night stretched on. Her fear was still there, but a tiny part of her noticed something else. Yes, steady presence, a carefulness that did not belong to fear. She could not name it yet. She could only feel it, like a small warmth beneath the fear, a sign that maybe not all was danger. She kept her eyes on the road ahead, kept her mind racing, kept her body ready. The journey continued. She did not know what would happen next. She only knew that fear filled every second, and every second felt important. She felt her body tighten with every turn of the road. Her mind prepared for the worst. Her hands gripped the edge of the seat. The quiet was heavier than the night itself. Every sound of the engine echoed inside her chest. Then he spoke one gentle sentence. It was soft but steady. It was not loud or demanding. It was calm and clear. The words were simple. They acknowledged her fear. They promised safety without any threat or judgment. Her body froze. Her mind tried to analyze. She had never heard a stranger speak like this before. The softness in his voice was unexpected. She realized he knew, he understood her fear. He did not mock it or dismiss. I've simply recognized it and moved gently. The sentence floated in the air between them. It changed the atmosphere. Tension that had weighed on her began to shift. Her heart still beat fast, but not in panic. She looked at him. He kept his eyes on the road, his hands firm on the wheel. There was nothing threatening in his posture, nothing harsh in his expression. Her mind tried to find a reason to doubt, but the calm in his voice filled a space she did not know existed, a space where fear could be replaced by something else. She realized she had been imagining the worst, creating dangers that were not there. Her fear had painted pictures too dark for reality. She felt a small release in her chest, a breath she did not know she was holding. Escape. The road stretched ahead, but the darkness felt less heavy. The Silence was no longer filled with tension. It was a quiet that allowed her to notice small details, the way he adjusted the seat, the way he checked the mirrors, the way he avoided bumps carefully. She noticed these things now, not with fear but with understanding. The care he showed was real. It was not performance. It was not meant to control. It was simply human. She remembered the stories that had filled her mind with fear and realized this moment was different. No threat lurked, her only presence and care. Her body relaxed slowly, her hands unclenched, her shoulders dropped a little, her mind still alert but no longer consumed by panic. She started to see him as a persona, man with his own life, his own experiences, a man who had chosen to act with kindness. Her thoughts turned inward. She wondered why a single sentence could have such power, why it could change the way she felt completely. The answer seemed simple. It was honesty, it was recognition, it was presence without judgments. She realized she had been ready to fight or flee, and instead she could listen and notice. She could trust cautiously. She could be human. In the moment, the road wound through fields. The shadows moved gently with the truck. The stars began to appear more clearly. The night sky felt open and calm. She noticed the small kindnesses again, the way he slowed for animals, the careful driving, the quiet respect in every movement. The gentle sentence replayed in her mind. She repeated it silently. She felt the meaning sink deeper. It was a promise without words, a calm presence that reassured her. Her body felt warmer, her mind felt lighter, her heart still beat fast, but not in terror. She realized she was learning something. New fear can exist, but trust can also grow. Sometimes trust comes in a single momenta, single sentence, a single gesture. The truck moved steadily, the road continued. The night held its quiet. She felt more present, more awake, more aware. She noticed her surroundings, the gentle rise and fall of the road, the distant trees, soft wind through the open window. Her fear had not vanished completely. It lingered like a shadow, but it no longer ruled her. Had a companion understanding. She looked at him again. He did not speak more for a while. He did not need to. His presence carried the same message. He was steady, he was kind, he was aware. She realized she could breathe more as Ali. She could stop preparing for disaster. She could be human in the moment. She could trust slowly. The journey continued. The road stretched ahead. Quiet was no longer heavy. It was gentle. It was calm. It was human. She thought of how quickly fear had been replaced by something simple. An honest, a single sentence, a gentle acknowledgement, quiet promise of safety. Her mind wandered, but not in fear. She wondered about life, about human kindness, about the unexpected ways people can show care. Their truck moved through the night. The stars became brighter. The fields and fences passed silently. The journey felt long but safe. She felt a small smile forming, a feeling she had not expected. A feeling of trust, a feeling of relief, feeling that even in the dark there can be light. The road would continue. But she knew something had changed. She would remember this moment, the gentle sentence, the quiet presence, the trust that grew from fear. Her heart still beat, but now it beat with understanding. Her body relaxed further. Her mind found calm. The night stretched ahead. The journey continued, and she realized that a single sentence spoken with honesty and care could change everything. Night continued to stretch ahead. The road curved gently through open fields. She felt the first real sense of calm since the journey began. The fear that had weighed on her seemed lighter. Now the gentle sentence he had spoken lingered in her mind, a quiet thread weaving through her thoughts. She started to notice small things about him, the way his hands moved confidently on the wheel, the way he adjusted his posture to stay comfortable, the way he watched the road and the surroundings carefully. Each gesture felt thoughtful, but natural. She wondered about his life, what brought him here, what made him drive through the night without hurry. She imagined long days in the sun, hard work that shaped him, a life built on patience and quiet understanding. She felt curious but safe. Her fear had not disappeared completely. It still sat lightly in her chest, a reminder to stay aware. It no longer dominated her. She began to speak, her voice soft and careful. She asked small questions about the road, about the quiet night, about simple things she might not usually notice. He answered with calm, short sentences, but honest ones. No pretense, no judgment, just information and occasional reflection. She Realized she could listen without fear, she could hear the world through his perspective, see the road through his eyes, understand the quiet and care and the movements around her. The journey moved forward, the truck hummed steadily over the dark road. She felt a new rhythm inside herself. Rhythm that matched the calm presence of the man beside her. She thought about trust, how it grows slowly, how it begins with small moments, say kind word, careful gesture and acknowledgement of feelings. She reflected on her own experiences, times she had felt fear without reason, times when someone had shown her kindness unexpectedly. Understood now that trust could begin even in small doses. The road bent and rose slightly, the moonlight cast long shadows, the fields moved past in silence. She felt a quiet gratitude for this moment. Her thoughts wandered to life beyond this ride. She realized how often she judged situations too quickly, how often fear controlled her actions. She wondered how many opportunities she had missed because of it. The man drove without rushing. Every movement felt deliberate, but natural. She began to relax into the flow, feeling both alert and safe. She noticed subtle details she had missed before: the worn leather of the seat, the faint scent of dust and earths, the soft sounds of tires on gravel, the occasional rustle of trees in the wind. These small observations brought her a sense of connection to the world, connection to the moment, connection to the man who had chosen to offer help without questions. She began to see him as human, not just a stranger, not just a figure on the road, but a person with thoughts, feelings, and experiences that shaped his actions. She realized how her assumptions had painted him in a different light, how her fear had created shadows where there were none. She felt the shadows fade, slowly replaced by understanding and cautious trust. The journey continued, the night deepened, but the air felt lighter. Inside the truck, a quiet understanding grew between them, a bond formed in the space of shared presence. She asked more questions about his life, his work, the places he had been, things he had seen. He answered without hesitation, sharing small stories that revealed his character. She listened attentively, finding herself more relaxed with each sentence. Each story added depth to the person she had feared. Answer made her feel safer. She noticed the way he smiled slightly at times, the subtle changes in his expression. These details made her heart feel lighter. A sense of ease settled over her. She reflected on the journey so far, the fear she had carried at the beginning, the tense grip on her bag, the racing thoughts. All of it felt distant. Now the single, gentle sentence had started the change, but it was the quiet presence that continued it, the careful attention, the consistent kindness, the simple honesty. She understood now that trust could grow from observation, from noticing the care in someone else, from recognizing the difference between fear and reality. The road moved under the truck steadily. The night sky stretched overhead, stars twinkled softly in the distance. She felt a sense of calm she had not known she needed. She realized she could enjoy the journey even though the destination was unknown, even though the night was dark, even though fear had been present. She began to see life in small details, the movement of shadows, the way light fell on the fields, the quiet sound of tires, the rhythm of the engine. These simple things brought her comfort, a sense of safety. She could trust, a connection she could hold on to. She thought of herself in past moments, times she had been alone and afraid, times she had been cautious and hesitant. She realized this ride was teaching her something new. The lesson was clear. Trust can be given in small steps, does not require complete surrender. It begins with observing care, with recognizing honesty, with feeling human presence. The man drove on, his calmness continued, his careful attention never wavered. She felt more relaxed, more aware, more connected. The night continued to stretch, but she no longer felt the weight of fear. Instead, she felt a sense of quiet understanding. Human connection that bridged the distance between strangers. She reflected on the gentle sentence again. Its power was not in words alone. It was in honesty and recognition, in calm present. She realized the ride would stay with her, not because of danger avoided, but because of trust slowly built, because of care quietly shown, because of human connection found unexpectedly. Journey continued. She watched the road, the fields, the sky, the stars. She felt a sense of trust growing, nay, gentle warmth filling the space that had once been fear. She thought of how quickly life can change, how one small gesture, one honest sentence can shift a moment completely. She felt gratitude, quiet and deep, for the presence beside her, for the careful driving, for the trust slowly forming. Road stretched ahead, the night continued, the journey moved forward, and she understood that the lesson of trust was growing steadily inside her heart. The road stretched ahead in quiet darkness. She felt the journey winding down. Her heart still beat with caution, but the tension had eased. Her hands rested loosely. The grip on her bag had relaxed. The man continued to drive steadily, his eyes focused on the road, his posture calm and confident. She watched him without fear, her thoughts quieting. She thought of the gentle sentence he had spoken. It had changed everything. It had broken the tension, opened a space for understanding. It had shown her the power of simple words. She reflected on her own reactions, how quickly she had imagined danger, how her mind had filled silence with fear. She realized now how imagination can grow shadows, and how kindness can dissolve them. The fields on either side moved slowly, shadows of trees and fences passing silently. The moonlight cast a soft glow on the road. Stars twinkled faintly overhead. The night felt alive, but calm. She noticed the small gestures again, the careful adjustments to the wheel, the way he slowed for unseen obstacles, way he respected the road and surroundings. Every gesture spoke of experience and care. Her mind began to wander. She thought of the people she had met in life, the moments when she had been afraid, moments when someone had unexpectedly shown kindness. Understood now that trust grows slowly from small moments, from observation, from human presence. She looked at him again. He did not speak. Immediately, he did not need to. His presence carried the same gentle assurance. She felt the quiet trust solidify. She realized she could finally relax without letting her guard down completely. She could be aware and at ease at the same time. The fear was no longer heavy. It had become a shadow in the background. The road twisted gently. The truck moved steadily. She felt a sense of connection to the journey, to the moment, to the man beside her. Reflected on life, on the power of kindness, on the way simple words and actions can change a person. She understood that trust is not given all at once. It is built through small gestures and honest presence. The night continued. The air felt cooler. The breeze came through the open window. It carried the scent of earth and grass. She breathed deeply and felt a sense of calm. She thought of the journey ahead. She did not know what awaited her. She did not need to know. She trusted that she would reach safety. She trusted that kindness existed in unexpected places. Man drove on, his movements steady and deliberate. She noticed how he never rushed, how he respected the space around him, how he paid attention to the small details. Every observation strengthened her trust. Every small gesture reminded her that fear is not always reality. Every careful movement showed her the quiet power of human presence. She remembered the moments of fear at the beginning, the grip on the bag, the tense muscles, the racing thoughts. They seemed distant, now faded by the calm and steady rhythm of the journey. She realized she had learned something important. Fear can be strong, but trust can grow just as strongly. Sometimes it only needs a gentle word, thoughtful gesture, honest presence. The night sky stretched above, the road moved steadily below. She felt the rhythm of the journey, quiet understanding of human connection, a sense of calm and trust that had formed unexpectedly. She reflected on how quickly fear had shifted, how a single sentence had begun the change, how observation and care continued it, how human kindness had shaped her experience. The journey approached its end. The town or place she would arrive at was near, but the lesson she carried was deeper than the destination. It was about trust. It was about observation. It was about understanding human presence. Felt grateful quietly and deeply for the man who had driven steadily through the night, for the single gentle sentence, for the careful and honest gestures, for the space to observe and understand. She realized she would carry this experience with her, not as a story of fear alone, but as a story of trust, slowly growing, of human kindness, quietly shown, of the difference one person can make in another's life. Road led onward, the journey continued to its end. Her heart was calm, her mind was quiet, her presence in the moment complete. Sure. Looked at the man one last time. No words were needed. The understanding was shared, the trust established, the human connection presents she. Stepped out of the truck when the journey ended. The night was still quiet. The fields stretched beyond the road. Stars twinkled softly overhead, the gentle lessons of the ride stayed with her. She realized that fear and trust are closely linked, that one can change into the other, sometimes with a single sentence. Small gestures, sometimes with the quiet presence of someone who cares. The experience stayed with her, not as fear overcome, but as trust given and received, as understanding found, as kindness quietly shaping life. She walked forward, carrying the lesson in her heart.
A reminder that fear can be replaced, that trust can grow in the most unexpected
ways, a gentle warmth filling the space once heavy with tension, the night stretching ahead with calm and understanding. Night had softened into early morning. A pale light touched the edges of the fields. She felt the quiet around her like a gentle presence. The journey continued even though the night was ending. Her thoughts were calmed. The fear that had once filled her chest was almost gone. The road moved steadily beneath the tires. She noticed the small details that she had missed before. The way the morning light touched the grass, the way birds began to stir in the distance, the soft sound of wind through the trees. Everything felt alive. Everything felt connected. She thought of the man beside her, the way he had driven through the night, the careful movements, the quiet presence, the gentle sentence that had started it all. She realized that trust is not something forced. It grows slowly through observation and small gestures. It is built when fear is acknowledged and met with kindness. She felt a deep respect for the care he had shown, not in words alone but in actions and patience. Her mind reflected on herself, the way she had prepared for danger, how she had imagined the worst, and how quickly that fear had been replaced by understanding. She understood now that fear can be powerful, but trust can be even stronger when nurtured. The truck moved steadily. The road curved gently. Fields stretched on either side. Shadows of trees moved with the light. She noticed the patterns in nature, the way life continued quietly, even in darkness, even in uncertainty. She thought of her own life, the moments when she had been cautious, moments when she had been alone and unsure. She realized she had been given a giftly lesson in trust, a lesson in human presence, a lesson in the power of a single gentle word. She turned her eyes back to the man. He remained focused on the road, his hands strong on the wheel, his posture calm and assured. She felt gratitude for the way he had moved through the night, for the way he had respected her space and feelings. The morning light grew stronger. The world around them became clearer. The road seemed less daunting. The distance between fear and trust had shrunk. She noticed the way the truck moved, steady, over bumps and curves. The careful navigation showed her patience and awareness. She realized that trust grows not only from words but also from consistent actions, from the small choices people make, from the quiet care that goes unnoticed. Her mind wandered to the idea of connection, how to strangers could share a moment without speaking much, how understanding can develop even in silence, how presence alone can communicate safety. She felt the bond that had formed, not a bond of familiarity, but a bond of respect and quiet trust. She thought about how quickly perceptions can change, how fear can create shadows that are not real, and how honesty and care can dissolve those shadows. She understood that life often tests our willingness to trust, and sometimes answers come in unexpected forms. The truck continued. The road stretched ahead through fields and trees. The morning air grew warmer. The sounds of the world waking surrounded them. She felt present in a way she had not felt before, fully aware, fully calm, fully trusting. She reflected on the journey, on the moments when fear had dominated, on the moments when the single gentle sentence had shifted everything, on the quiet observations that had deepened trust. She realized that lessons in life often come quietly. They do not shout or demand attention. They arrive softly and persistently. The man drove without urgency, every movement deliberate, every choice careful, every glance thoughtful. She began to see the rhythm of his actions as a reflection of his character, a character built on patience, care, and quiet strength. She felt a warmth inside, a sense of connection to the world around her. to the man beside her, to the rhythm of the journey, to the trust that had grown through careful presence. Road wound gently, the morning light continued. To grow she noticed the fields stretching endlessly, the trees standing silently, the small signs of life awakening. She realized that this journey was more than just travel. It was a lesson in human understanding, a lesson in how fear and trust coexist. A lesson in the power of presence and small gestures. Her mind thought of the lessons she would carry forward, the importance of observing carefully, importance of acknowledging fear, the power of kindness in shifting perceptions, the quiet strength that comes from patience. She reflected on her own heart, how it had been heavy with tension, how it had loosened with a single gentle word, how it had grown steady through actions and consistency. She felt gratitude for the experience, for the presence of someone who had shown care without expectation. The truck continued through the soft morning, the road stretching steadily beneath them. She felt a sense of rhythm and peace, her body relaxed, her mind alert, her heart steady. She thought of the future, the moments when she might feel fear again. She knew now that trust could be rebuilt through careful observation, through recognition of kindness, through the quiet presence of someone aware. The journey continued. The morning light grew stronger, the world became more vivid, colors and shapes emerging clearly. She noticed the patterns in nature, the subtle movements of life beginning anew. She reflected on the human connection she had experienced, how two strangers could share a journey and build understanding, how actions and presence can communicate more than words, how patience and care can transform fear into trust. The truck moved steadily. She felt the weight of fear replaced by quiet confidence. She felt the lessons of the night becoming part of her, lessons that would remain even after the journey ended. She turned her eyes to the man. Again, no words were needed. The understanding was mutual, the trust established, the connection quietly acknowledged. The road led onward. The journey approached its natural end. She stepped forward with a sense of calm and awareness, a gentle warmth in her heart. The fear that had once defined her journey now replaced by trust and understanding. She carried the lessons with Hera, reminder of the quiet strength of human presence, a reminder of the power of small gestures, a reminder that trust can grow unexpectedly and that a single gentle word can change everything. The world opened before her. The fields, the trees, the light, and the sky all seemed connected, all seemed alive, and she felt herself connected to Ito, the journey, to the lessons, and to the trust that had grown. The journey ended in calm. The road stretched out behind Hertha. Memories of fear were now soft. The lessons of trust and human connection remained clear, and she stepped into the world carrying them gently in her heart. The morning light was soft and pale as the journey continued into the quiet world. She felt the weight of the night behind her and a calmness growing in her chest. Her hands rested lightly on her knees as she watched the road stretch ahead. Fields on either side moved slowly past the window, the occasional tree casting long shadows in the rising light. She remembered the fear that had gripped her so strongly just hours before, the racing heart, the tense shoulders, the tight grip on her Bagivri, second filled with imagined dangers, and how quickly it had shifted with one gentle word, one kind gesture. The presence of someone who simply cared. The man drove steadily, his eyes focused on the road, his hands firm on the wheel, every movement deliberate but natural. She realized that patience can be powerful, that a calm presence can speak louder than words. Though air was cooler, now she could feel the morning breeze through the open window. It carried the scent of earth and grass, a reminder of life. Continuing quietly, even in darkness, even in uncertainty, she thought of the road, how it had felt endless at first, how each mile seemed to stretch the tension in her body, and how now the distance seemed small, the road a part of the rhythm of the journey, not a source of fear. She reflected on the gentle sentence that had started everything, how it had broken the tension, how it had created a space where observation and understanding could grow. As she thought about trust, how it grows slowly, how it begins with noticing kindness and care. In unexpected forms, the fields continued to move past, the occasional bird rising into the sky, the light growing brighter. She felt herself breathing more freely, more deeply, her body relaxed further, her mind clearer. She looked at the man beside her. He did not speak much. He did not need to his. Presence carried the message of safety and steady. Kershey realized that presence can communicate more than words and that actions can teach lessons words cannot. She reflected on how often she had let fear guide her choices, how her imagination had created dangers that were not real she thought about. All the times in life when fear had held her back, and understood now how trust can begin, even in small moments. Truck moved steadily along the road curves and hills, passing silently, every movement deliberate, every choice careful. She felt the rhythm of the journey settling in her minda, rhythm of patience and understanding. She remembered the moments of doubt, moments when fear had almost taken over, and she realized that those moments had been necessary because they made the gentle sentence and the careful presence even more meaningful. The contrast made the lesson clear. She thought of the small gestures she had noticed, the way he slowed for small obstacles, the careful attention to the road, the respect shown for the surroundings. Each gesture built trust without needing to demand it. The sky grew brighter, the world coming alive with morning light. She noticed the patterns in nature, the subtle changes in the wind, the movement of leaves, the distant sounds of animals beginning their day. She felt a sense of connection to the journey, to the road, to the presence of the man beside her, to the small signs of life all around. She realized that understanding can grow quietly from observing and being present. The journey continued, her thoughts wandered to life beyond the road. She considered how trust and fear coexist, how one can shift into the other, and how patience, honesty, and observation can guide that shift. The road curved through a wooded area, shadows stretched longer, though light breaking through leaves and thin lines. She noticed the patterns and textures, the rhythm of nature and motion. She thought of the lesson she had learned, how one gentle word had started a chain of trust, how observation and care had deepened it, how human connection can transform fear into understanding. She considered her own reactions, how quickly she had assumed danger, how her mind had filled silence with imagined threats, and how kindness and presence had shown her a different reality. The man continued to drive, his hands steady on the wheel, every choice careful, every movement deliberate. The rhythm of the truck moving over the road mirrored the rhythm growing in her own mind. She felt a growing warmth in her chest, a sense of gratitude for the presence beside her, for the calmness that had guided the journey, for the lessons in trust and observation. The fields and trees passed silently, world moving gently under the morning light. She reflected on the way small gestures can carry meaning, how single word can shift perception, how trust can grow in unexpected ways. Her body was relaxed, her mind calm, her heart steady. She felt a sense of clarity, a sense of understanding that had not been there before. The truck moved over a gentle rise. The horizon stretched wide, the sky a pale wash of light. She noticed the subtle changes in color, the movement of the clouds, the quiet rhythm of the wind. She thought about how often life tests our willingness to trust, how fear can arise suddenly, and how patience, honesty, and gentle presence can overcome it. She realized that these lessons are not always obvious, but they can leave a lasting impression. The journey continued through quiet fields and winding roads, every moment filled with observation, every gesture building trust, every mile a reminder of the power of calm and care. She reflected on her own heart, how it had been tense and fearful, how it had loosened with a single word, how trust had grown through quiet presence and observation. She felt the lesson sink deep into her being. The road curved gently through a forested area, shadows danced in the morning light, the subtle sounds of life surrounded them. Rhythm of the journey continued steadily. She thought of the moments she had feared the most and how they had been replaced with understanding, how fear and trust are connected, how one can transform into the other with patience and care. She noticed every detail now, the way light fell on the leaves, the texture of the road beneath the tires, the subtle sounds of movement in the world around her. Everything seemed connected, everything alive, everything meaningful. She turned her eyes to the man beside her. He drove steadily, his focus on the road, unwavering, his presence quiet but powerful. She felt gratitude For the lessons he had helped her learn, the journey continued through winding roads, the world around them, moving gently with the morning light. She felt herself present in the moment, fully aware, fully calm, fully trusting. She reflected on the power of a single gentle word, how it had broken the tension, how it had created space for observation and understanding, how it had allowed trust to grow them. Truck moved steadily, every choice careful, every gesture deliberate, the rhythm of the journey mirrored. The rhythm growing in her mind and heart, she thought about the journey of life, how moments of fear can teach, how moments of trust can transform, how human presence and care can guide the path. A road stretched ahead, fields and trees moving past. In silence she noticed the subtle beauty of the world waking, the gentle light of morning, the quiet movement of life around her. She felt a deep sense of connection to the journey, to the lessons learned, to the presence beside her, to the quiet rhythm of life itself. The man continued to drive steady, deliberate, calm. She watched and learned, observed, and trusted, letting go of the weight of fear. She reflected on the small gestures that build trust, the careful attention to detail, the gentle acknowledgement of fear, the quiet presence that communicates safety. The journey continued through fields, woods, and gentle hills. The light grew stronger, the world more vivid. She felt alive, aware and calm. She thought about how the journey had begun with fear, how tension had filled every moment, and how it had shifted with a single word: day. Calm, presence, say, steady rhythm. She realized that life is full of moments like this, moments that teach patience, understanding, and trust, moments that remind us of human connection and care. The truck moved steadily, the road stretching ahead under the pale morning light. She felt a sense of rhythm, calm and understanding, her heart steady, her mind clear, her body relaxed. She considered the lessons she would carry forward, the importance of observing carefully, the power of patience and gentle presence, the way small gestures can create lasting trust, the quiet strength found in human care. The journey continued. World around her alive and moving, fields, trees, birds, and wind, all part of the rhythm. She felt herself connected to it, all aware and present in every detail. She reflected on fear and trust, how they coexist, how one can shift into the other, how patience, honesty, and observation guide that shift. The truck moves steadily, curves, hills, and open roads passing silently. She felt a growing calm in her chest, a sense of clarity and understanding. She noticed the subtle beauty of the world around her, the way morning light touched the fields, the movement of leaves in the wind, the distant sounds of birds and animals. She felt connected to the journey, the road, and the lessons learned. Trust had grown through gentle presence, careful attention, and a single word. Rhythm of the journey mirrored the rhythm growing inside her. She reflected on her own reactions, how quickly fear had arisen, how it had shifted into trust, how human kindness and patience had guided the change. The road continued, the journey stretching forward, every mile a reminder of the lessons learned then. Subtle power of presence and care, the gentle strength of trust. Growing in the heart, she looked at the man beside her, silent, steady, and calm, a presence that spoke volumes, a teacher without words. Guiding through example, the journey continued into the morning, fields, trees, and gentle hills passing silently. She felt fully present, fully calm, fully trusting, her heart steady, her mind clear, her body relaxed. She reflected on the journey and the lessons, the power of a single word, a gentle sentence, and quiet presence, the way trust grows from small gestures and careful observation, the impact of human kindness and understanding. The road stretched ahead, the journey continued. She felt a deep sense of connection to the world around her, to the lessons learned too, the presence beside her, to the quiet rhythm of life.